the difference when it came to taking down Team Secret. For now, it's SBTC Esports versus Evos Esports in this first game to open up day number 3 of the Summer Super Cup.
And you have two lanes I want to focus on. One, that jungle matchup you already talked about. You have Valdez, just a hard carry over there on Evos, and you have TF on the opposite side, just as important in setting the pace for SBTC's early game, oftentimes also pulling out that Lee Sin. Then we have to have the conversation about the bottom lane, where Kiral for SBTC plays a scaling carry. Loves to sit down there in the bottom lane, get a silly amount of farm, and be there for his team in the team fights. That's also the playstyle we see over on Cat Satan. They've both been very important for their team, and I need to see where the priority goes in this draft.
Priority actually going to land on the Gragas for SBTC to start off this pick phase. They get rid of the Fiora and the Ziggs, and Evos Esports gets rid of the Rengar and the Camille. Now looking at a Galio and a Xayah. Nice flex pick with the Galio, and like you mentioned, Cat Satan should be able to make good work with the Xayah.
The Xayah early on over a Kai'Sa is something I've been a little bit weak on. Xayah is very powerful right now though, and what it indicates, what the Ezreal indicates as well, picked up for Kiral, is that both these teams are going to leave that bottom lane as a weak side. They need a support or an AD carry pick here that has a little bit more survivability without a support. Look for that Rakan to get aggressive on the map and roam. Look for that Galio, if it's played support, to do the same thing. And then you're going to have these isolated lanes where it's just Ezreal and Xayah having a good time scaling up.
SBTC does respond by taking away the Rakan and also locking in the Vine and Garen to get some decent trade potential against Renekton, but I'm liking the aggression that Evos Esports have drafted. Renekton, such a dominant lane bully, and being able to maintain pressure against Garen, and finally locking in that Janna.
So we do get the Janna, which means this Galio will be played mid, which means the Renekton will be played top lane. And I think, first of all, I want to flag how good Evos did building a draft that could be flexed like that. But I actually think, as we load towards the Rift, SBTC have walked away with an advantage here. They built a very good team fight, and I can't wait to see how it is acted upon once we get in.
And Gragas is so critical for SBTC. He's a big part of the disengage. Without him, it can become very problematic. So very cautious on how they want to play this match out. With that being said, we're loading into the Rift. SBTC Esports versus Evos to start and kick off day 3 of the Summer Super Cup. Nothing too crazy from us just yet, TJ.
I said I really liked SBTC's draft. I want to talk through why. I am generally very negative on the Vi. I think it's a lame answer to Lee Sin. The win rate is astonishingly low, but it's not the weakest part of this draft because it's being played by TF and because of what it is as part of this team. It is a frontline. It is going to be a lead-in engage that makes it incredibly hard for Cat Satan to stay safe in these team fights. On the opposite side, you have a lot more damage threat overall from Minas, Julie, and Kiral. So they're going to be able to come out on top not only in our 5v5 team fights, I think, but in the skirmishes across the map. And that's very important for SBTC. If they can win the 2v2s, the 3v3s that develop during the early phase of the game versus Evos, that's going to set them up for success.
And because Evos has drafted for the Lee Sin and the Renekton, champions that are traditionally respected as very strong early game champions, if they do lose that advantage, it becomes really problematic. I agree wholeheartedly with the Vi pickup. I'm not a big fan of Vi. I felt like TF has made much better performances with the Jarvan and the like. Bit of a gang going to the mid lane. Julie getting taken down pretty low here. Forces the flash, but jumping with the resonating side. Gets a second hit off. One more all attack should find it. Lotus in a bad spot now, getting collapsed in between by 2 people. Gets his ultimate. The Dragon's Rage comes through. Flashes back. Aquino in an awkward spot. The Ignite taking down. He safeguards over on the other end. Crippling strike, not able to pick up the kill. The flash away from the Rakan. And it's the first blood over to Evos Esports.
And those were the 2v2s we were talking about. SBTC have a composition that can win it. You see it there. The Rakan free to roam up. The 2v2, 3v2 ready to go. But it just doesn't matter because Valdez is so good. The mobility on his Lee Sin simply unmatched.
It's crazy. Jumping in there, getting the level 5 to pick up the Dragon's Rage at such a clutch, opportune moment made all the difference because Aquino couldn't find the engage to line it up with TF, and that's a big sign what we're about to see. Julie once again going to be a target focus, gets taken down, claimed by G4, and so they pick up yet another kill to lead things 2-0.
And that's the power of Lee Sin. That's why Vi struggles to answer the Lee Sin as a draft pick. Lee Sin is going to come out of the gate and do this much damage in the early game in the hands of somebody like Valdez. And Vi doesn't really have an answer to that until she hits level 5, until she gets that ultimate. TF has just done that, let that gank happen in the mid lane so that they could farm up and get to level 5, get now to level 6 with an ultimate in pocket. That's going to change the pace of this game. And I'm going to be interested to see as Valdez roams down towards the bottom lane, sets up for this dragon, whether or not TF can match that presence still.
And it's also going to make a big difference because Valdez is building towards lethality items. We've seen a couple of varying ideas towards the first item from Lee Sin. Some people go for the lethality item, the Ghost Blade. Some might go for something along the lines of the Guardian's Angel, just to give it a little bit more survivability. A little interesting exchange coming through. Redemption going to be prompt. Evos Esports, like you mentioned, have set their presence down towards the Dragon Lane, looking to try and set up for this Dragons, the Infernal, something that both teams probably want, but both are willing to back off and reset for now.
Yeah, so the redemption was there just for a vision check. Evos wanted to make sure there was nobody behind that recon engage, because Akino was kind of bluffing, going up really aggressive to try and build space to steal away that scuttle. It was a very important scuttle. The fact that Evos gets it means that we can get a reset down bottom. They can go back to base knowing there's vision on this drive.
Flash away from TF. The taunt comes through on the device. Should be able to get this kill. Gets the kill with the Lee Sin. Valdez claims that one. Now looking for the re-engage back on the Aquino. But Aquino jumps back onto Julius. He survives with his life by the heroic engage used. So now they're moving on to the Dragon. Evos Esports in a pretty prime position to pick this one up. Yeah, looking to pick this one up.
And this is what I was talking about when I said the vision was really important. TF can't get near the Drake, ends up caught in a very weird position, gets run over, and Evos get the first Drake for free. Everything they want out of the early game has gone their way. There is still a speed bump ahead in SBTC's mid-game. This is where their composition spikes. Ezreal, once they complete that Manamune, you see currently stacking in their inventory, will be a powerhouse threat pretty much no matter what happens in the early game. But Evos are on path to their ideal team fight in that mid-game because of how successful they've been so far.
So making good use of the power spikes that they have in this early game and denying SBTC really well. We'll have to see what else they want to get done here, considering they've made a lane swap, bringing Renekton down towards the Dragon lane, bringing that Xayah and Janna up towards the Baron lane, looking like they could want to contest this with Herald. SBTC doing a pretty good job of setting up control around this quadrant of the map, though.
SBTC already on the case, trying to lane swap their bottom lane up towards the top side. That is going to be matched. It's Cat Satan and Kirol both now up by the Rift Herald, as both teams want to bring their farming AD carries towards the side of the map. Oh, this is good.
Engage onto Xayah, but Xayah should be able to get out with the Blade Caller.
But they have to reset. Yeah, so that's ultimate blown, and they have to reset. Cat Satan is not going to be here for this Rift Herald.
Doesn't look like it matters all too much. They do manage to get the taunt right onto Kiro. Kiro looking to go down. Redemption coming through. Ignite is going to be used as well. Valdez moves to the backline looking for this kill. Isn't quite able to find it. Instead, brings the tension back on the Rift Herald. They pick this one up. And Evos Esports might not find a kill, but they get the Herald slain.
Presented by Globe here, as Cat Satan resets on the Honey Fruits and just walks up. Doesn't have anything other than the auto attacks. But it's enough. They find Kiral, knock him so low. It's a guaranteed kill.
He does knock back Julie, so Julie gets away from the Galio ultimate, but instead moves into the loving arms of Evos Esports to take him down. Now attention coming onto the Renekton. It's Renekton in the back line, looking to try and get this kill on the Aquino, but it's a difficult kill for Valdez. Valdez goes a little bit too aggressive, goes golden, survives a little bit long against Kiro, and Kiro might just have the damage to find this. He trades back, takes down Valdez, but the rest of his team dies off, and Mina's not anywhere to be found in that fight.
And this is really snowballing now. Evos are going to be able to get that top turret. They've still got a Rift Herald in their pocket. They can do anything from here on out. This is really hard to come back into from SBTC. You still have that Kiro power spike around the corner. You're still going to have a scarier Julie as this game goes on. But it's going to be so hard to step into a front line against Cat Satan from here on out, against, even as Valdez fades, the power of this team fight.
It's problematic because the Dragon's going to come up pretty soon, and so they have another objective they have to worry about. SBTC Esports losing a lot of momentum. Difficult time to scale up because you mentioned they need some time to pick up the items to become this big team fighting threat and this big team fighting presence. Without that and the speed and pace that Evos are going at, I'm a little bit worried SBTC may never find their footing.
Yeah, this is a really hard game for SBTC to turn around. But they do have the advantage in the team fight. They do have the advantage kind of no matter what at the 15-minute mark. So I'm looking at it as a stopwatch game. Can they last 15 minutes?
Oh, well, 15 minutes might be coming a little early as Evos Esports jumps back in. Valdez does go down. SBTC claims that first kill to start off the fight. G-Ball moves back into the enemy lines, looking to try and pick up the spot. Now Kino goes a little bit too aggressive. But guess what? It's going to be G4 that goes down instead. Gonna use the Feather Storm, tries to get out, but isn't able to do so. SBTC Esports turns this fight around, picks up 3, and Renekton over by the side, flashes forward, looking for a kill onto the Ezreal. Ezreal flashes away. Barely Spice now stuck in between 3 members. The Tornado is going to get the knockout back on the TF. Temper's still in a good spot, trying to fight this one out. Looking for a kill onto anybody that he can. He takes out the Gragas, picks up a second kill onto the Vi. It's a double kill. They turn things back on its head as Evos Esports barely managed to equalize.
And you see how scary Thipper is, but you also see SBTC bring themselves back towards this game. Are they in it? No. Can they be in this game in 5 minutes? Yes. So Evos are making the right call off of that information. We have a very narrow window, they say. Oh, that was close. And so we're going to rush towards this Drake. And I will bet you money Evos are going to make a very fast play towards this Baron. Because the window where Thipper is going to be big enough to do what we just saw, to clean up teamfights to 1v3, is very narrow. And Minos will overtake him as a frontline tank. Julie's damage is coming online. And critically, Kirill's just did. Kirill has just hit the point of the game where this Ezreal is going to hurt.
Like you said, 15 minutes isn't too far off, and so SBTC just have to be a little patient, look to try and pick up the items and the EXP that they need to become a lot stronger. Baron coming up now, Baron coming up now is going to be something that might want to look for. Good engage coming onto Miracle. Miracle just might go down. Is taken out by TF. He claims that kill. Now looking to the backline of Evos Esports. It's changed the target back onto Aquino. It's a 1-for-1 on the supports. Looking for the catch on the Julie. The flash forward coming out for the Zaya. They pick up the kill on the Gragas. Now, Shot barrage on the Cat Satan. Cat Satan loses a lot of health, but they're back onto the Baron. They look like they could pick this one up, or at least force SBTC Esports to walk into them.
Cat Satan burning his summoners to get very aggressive there. And it works out because Kirill's nowhere nearby. Kirill, again, as this fight breaks out, not able to be relevant to it. Split completely from the team. He is the majority of the team's damage. And if SBTC are fighting without him, they're going to lose.
It's a difficult spot for him to be in. If he goes too aggressive, we see what Thipper can do. He jumps into the deep of SBTC Esports and is able to still take down the Ezreal through all of that. And so Kirill really has to be so conscious on his positioning that he's zoned down in a lot of these fights. Looking at his items right now, he managed to pick up the Mana Immune relatively early on. He's converted into a Mirror Mana, but still missing out on that Triforce because he went for that QSS upgrade. Picking up that enchantment early on to avoid the crowd control that might lock him down, that might cost him his life, has also kind of removed a little bit of damage that this team might otherwise have. Meanwhile, engage once again back on the Cat Satan. Cat Satan might get taken down. Monsoon going to be used to get the disengage. Backs off, and Evos Esports pick up the turret, or almost picks up the turret, and still get away pretty cleanly.
Evos not going for the Baron, though. They've got the turret in mid-low, but I would have preferred they tried to force a fight by starting the Baron. Here we go.
Fight breaks out as you get a catch onto Aquino. Aquino just going to get out with the Gwent entrance.
I'm sorry. That's a Lee Sin engage onto the Rakan. What? What's the point of that? Best case, you kill their support, but you're gonna trade Valdez for it. That's a crazy aggression. The Lee Sin, you know, doesn't have GA, has his stasis, but with what you're playing into, with Julie kind of waiting in the wings to explosive cast you, that's wild. I don't like what I'm seeing from Evos here. I don't think they're making the right steps to end this game quickly. They seem to instead be focusing on this Drake. And they're still in control, but the timer is ticking. We're now at the 12-13 minute mark. And as we head later in this game, SBTC are going to get able to 5v5 teamfight them.
Not the cleanest game from Evos Esports. Definitely looking a little sloppy. G4 jumps into the back, looking for lockdown on the Kiro. Kiro uses the QSS a little bit too early. They jump back over onto G4, now moving the target onto TF. TF loses a lot of HP to the Ignite. Tipper still has the Guardian Angel, so he's going to be alive for a little longer. Midas jumps in with the Demacian Justice, takes down the Renekton for the first time around to get the lockout back onto Tipper. But the Monsoon giving him the HP that he needs. It's a three-man taunt. The lockdown, the members of the enemy team. SBTC might just go down here. Cassidy tries to get onto Kiro, but Kiro gets away with his life. Now they turn the focus back onto Julie. Julie down towards this Dragon Lane. The flash throw from Miracle. He goes golden trying to survive. They manage to take him down. Valdez is now on the TF. They change the targets back onto Vi, and Vi doesn't have anywhere to go. Uses the Q to jump in aggressively. Kiro tries to trade back as best as he can, but gets locked up. Mind just to jump in for Valdez. Instead, they hold on, not looking to go too aggressive as Tipper makes quick work of this mid lane.
And Evos don't need the Baron, which is good, because they don't seem especially interested in it. They're able to bait SBTC into taking a fight through a choke point, through a very narrow angle, and G4 spots an opportunity. Always a hero for this team, able to jump forward into the front lines, backed up by Miracle's Monsoon, and land a three-man taunt that decides the fight. If SBTC want to get back into this now, they need to get out towards this Baron very quickly.
And this game between Evos Esports and SBTC kind of feels like a repeat of what we saw on day one. SBTC never really quite find their footing, and Evos Esports have taken the lead. And albeit not the cleanest game from them, they are just winning out mechanically in such great positions, and taking these fights in such opportune moments have really put them so far ahead. And now SBTC Esports, they don't have much vision on this Baron, so might just have to walk in here, TF.
Granted, they can't see anything. And Evos is just waiting for them in the shadows, lurking. They'll get poked out. You can see SBTC, they've done their homework. They know Evos do this.
So Valdez just going to go a little aggressive to try and zone them out. Vision was picked up by the Gragas, but ultimately not going to matter too much. Let's see if Evos actually want to pick up this Baron. I think they could go for it and just handshake for the Dragon instead and give that one over to SBTC. Instead, SBTC still hovering around this Baron. They're not willing to give this one up so easily.
I mean, you can see this game is not over. And frankly, it ought to be. Evos has had a couple of opportunities to end the game, and they've spent that time pushing turrets instead, finding weird team fights. They still, at this point, could just start the Baron, could instead force a fight around the Drake. I would like to see them go for the Drake, because I don't think SBTC's Baron take is that quick. So if they start a Drake fight, they would force SBTC to respond either by rushing the Baron, which is punishable, or by fighting them down bottom at the Drake. And I think either of those, both those options are risky, but I think either of those are preferable to giving SBTC more time here. And what Evos have instead done is given SBTC more time, because they're confident that eventually SBTC will make a mistake that Evos can punish.
And pretty opportunistic from Evos to assume that SBTC will make that mistake. We've seen how proficient they can be when the time comes about. And so a little bit concerning that they decided to give so much space to SBTC. Finally makes the call to go on the Baron. Monsoon going to be used to try and secure this one pretty quickly. Valdez picks up the Baron, now jumping in as Aquino into the back lines. They should be able to get this fight started. SBTC in a bad position, going to lose the Aquino pretty soon though. They trade back over onto Valdez. Hero picks up the kill for that one. Julie flashes over the blue buff. Gets out with his life, but it's a glow Baron slain for Evos Esports, who are finally looking like they want to end this game off.
Yeah, it was an interesting play. Evos opted to do a variation on what I was suggesting. They start the Drake with G4, with Pepper, whilst the rest of the team fights around the Baron. And that means that they don't have 5 players on the Baron, which means that they lose the fight in a weird way. They trade top for jungle. I think that's still okay. I think Evos will walk away quite pleased with the result of the exchange. You can see that forcing those fights was always in their interest, and they do get that force, they do get the Baron, they do get the Drake. So they should just be marching now towards victory. I'd frankly like to see them run not even a 1-3-1, pressing top, pressing mid as they are, end the game as quickly as possible.
Every tool available to Evos Esports at this point, they should be able to close this one out with a significant gold lead to boot. If they aren't able to do so, SBTC find a chance to claw their way back into the game. Like you mentioned, they collapse on this Baron lane, pick up that turret pretty quickly. The mid wave not exactly set up in their favor though, so let's see how they force this one out. Engage coming in as they do manage to lock down the Gragas. Gragas looking to lose a lot of his health right away. Redemption will be used on both sides as there's a Galio jumps back in with the ultimate, not able to get a lockdown onto too many. Tipper loses a lot of health, he still has his Guardian Angel. TF might just go down. Great kick coming out from Valdez as he takes down the fight. Aquino is dead too, it's a double for this Lee Sin.
And that's all they needed to do. Evos, with control of the game, break open the inhibitor turret. They've still got Baron in hand, and they are looking to lock their way in, out of the group stage, into the playoffs.
In good position, the Baron does run out, so Evos in a slightly worse position than I initially thought. To try and end this game off, 19 minutes in, they still have a really solid lead over SBTC, but as you take a look towards the Ezreal, now already completing 5 items, with including the boots, is looking to do a lot of damage, and this is what you were talking about. SBTC just need time to get ahead. Hero is a substantial amount of their damage source. We'll have to see if they are going to be able to win these team fights. Otherwise, have to deal with a crashing wave coming in.
I think I've turned the corner, right? Because we are at the point where Ezreal and Gragas and Garen are all serious threats, and I don't want to undervalue that. But now that Evos have broken an inhibitor turret, it's incredibly difficult for SBTC to contest anything on the map. And Evos have 3 Drakes and an Elder coming up. It's very hard for me to see SBTC turning this around. The only way they get it is if Evos opt into a team fight in a weird place on the map. If Evos take a team fight ahead, away from these objectives, and lose it, then there's a way back into this game.
That weird spot might actually be around the Baron if SBTC can get a good angle to lock in on Cat Satan to take him down before he can use the Featherstorm and really make a big difference in this fight. So this could be the last chance that SBTC have to win out a good fight to bring them back in the game.
And the hard part is, Evos can just back away from this Baron, let the split push from Thipper in the bot lane work, let the super minions split push. They don't need to fight here. They don't need to do anything. They can just force SBTC to reset and take advantage of it.
Not sure where they want to go for this fight. It's going to be the Great Engines. The quickening going to be used to lock down the Lee Sin. Valdez just might go down. He goes golden, survives a little bit longer. Nice 3-man taunt once again by his Galio. G4 making the moves happen. They take down Julie, jumping in. Valdez is looking for this, and so is Cat Satan. He dives into the back line. Timber crashing away down towards the bot side, and they're on to the Nexus. There's not much more left for SBTC to do as they go down one by one. Mina's likely to fall next to the Ignite taking down. Hero doing the best that he can, gets a double to try and slow down Evos, but it doesn't stop them as they pick up this win.
That was a weird kick from the deep dive at the end. Valdez not finding optimal engage, but G4 makes it work, as ever. G4 playing the Galio that game, so impressive. Multiple times finds the 3-4-man taunts that saved the day. Came from the LST, the League of Legends PC Pro League. Attended Worlds in 2019, and now is here to make things happen in Wild Rift with a dominant Galio performance that sets the pace of the mid-game after Evos benefits so much from Valdez's Lee Sin in the early game.
It was a great 1-2 combo from Evos Esports to lead into a really dominant win over SBTC to repeat what they did in day one of the Summer Super Cup. SBTC have to go back to the drawing board a little, knowing that they're going to have to go up against teams on the caliber of Evos Esports as they break into the next stages of the tournament. That being said, though, they are still in decent standing. Most of them, I believe, both their match losses at this point have both been to Evos Esports at this current stage. So the next big opponents are going to be the remainder of Group A between Team Secret and QWQ